Welcome back, everybody. Here we are once again for another Pizza Box event. This time, it's a Pizza Box Open. That's right. It was our set championship qualifier. It was standard format. Commentary is going to be by JohnLikesGames and TheDaNinja. As always, we have a great variety of decks in the top 8. And there was some new decks, actually, that showed up because of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. So a lot of interesting, a lot of fun things happening here. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as well. And enjoy the video.
I'm going to put you on the spot, right? I'm just going to put you on the spot. Hinata, Magma Opus. Is it a meme or is it a dream? Like, are you living the dream when you're doing this, or is it just a meme? Like, we're not going to see this going forward.
I think it's real, and I think the third part of the equation there, which needs to be mentioned also, is Goldspan Dragon. Like at the beginning, like the first versions didn't have any, but I think now it's kind of becoming more and more stock to just have 4 of each basically. And I think Goldspan Dragon, just outside of being a great creature and just on its own being amazing, the interaction with Opus is also great, where it gives you a lot of mana, and Opus gives you a great way to spend that mana. So like both Hinata and Goldspan Dragon give you a pretty reliable way of actually hard casting the Magma Opus. So I think it's gonna be a deck. Yeah, I think it's not a meme.
And again, I'm not saying, this is the deck to beat necessarily, but you wouldn't be ashamed if somebody handed you this deck and said you need to take this to a tournament. You wouldn't be ashamed to bring the deck.
No, I think it has definitely potential. I mean, we're very early in the new format, so things might still crystallize a bit, and the meta may get shaken up a bit. But currently, it seems to be standing its ground. I wonder like how much it's also on the back of just like Lear and Goldspan just being great cards. So maybe we'll eventually gonna learn that you just don't mess with this just kind of just play like good old Izzet with 0 new cards, and you're gonna be good. So I mean, it's either way. Like the Izzet core is really strong, and if you do add a color to it or don't, you're gonna be doing pretty well, I'd say.
That sounds right to me. All right, folks. So real quick, I do want to make an announcement that we are having a giveaway upcoming for a pre-release kit of Neon Dynasty. Unfortunately, folks, I apologize. This is only for residents of the United States. Legality issues conflicting. I apologize, Tomas. I apologize. I know you're probably used to this by now. It's
I mean,
it's one of those things that crops up.
Us Europeans are always discounted, but no, I think most Europeans who lead healthy lives are in bed now. So, and those who are not watching us, hello, welcome, have a nice night watching us. Don't take this as a discouragement, but yeah, I would say that most Europeans are safely in bed now. And those of you who are from the United States, don't hesitate and join in on the giveaway. A pre-release kit of Neon Dynasty sounds mighty nice.
It does.
So
while we're on that topic, folks, there's another place you could go if you were interested in, all kinds of different Magic-related products and things. Comic book store, all one word, .tcgplayerpro.com is the sponsor of today's event. Folks, they're great folks. They're putting on this tournament for all of us. You're getting an opportunity to play in a tournament for free. You're getting an opportunity for stakes. Like there's actual rewards being put on the line here, all by the comic book store here. You should check them out. Like if you're going to be buying Magic cards anyway, and believe me, as much as I would love to say, no, I'm done. I opened Magic the Gathering today. So, if we're going to be doing it anyway, just help out the folks that are helping you. Just, they are already scratching our proverbial backs here. Just give them a look. I'm not even saying you have to buy from or anything, but just to go and check them out. It won't hurt you. And darn it, they're helping us all. So big thank yous to Comic Book Store for sure. Also, big thank you to Hollywood Pizza. There's a lot that goes into all this stuff. Goes into this stuff. Behind the scenes things, and a big thank you to all those behind the scenes folks as well, moderators and Discord folks that are, keeping everybody straight, all that kind of stuff. Big thank yous to all those wonderful folks. But also a big thank you to Hollywood Pizza just for taking on the responsibility of doing all this. I love Magic. Unabashedly so. Folks, for decades now, actually, you know, multiple decades. I've been playing this silly card game and it just constantly has my attention. But Wizards of the Coast kind of walked back their support for the professional scene, as our good friend Tomas represents. And, you know, this is my opinion. This does not necessarily reflect Tomas's opinion, for the record, if anybody's watching, you know. But there have been folks that stepped up and took on that responsibility, and Hollywood Pizza is one of them. So huge props. If you have not already followed Hollywood Pizza, it doesn't hurt you. There's no skin off your nose here. Just following so you can come back and see more tournament magic. We're not begging you for money or anything. Just drop a follow, man. It's free. Speaking of free, now I'm going to beg for money, because if you have Amazon Prime, you can put that here too. Costs you nothing. You get 1 free sub a month, and Hollywood Pizza is a fine place to put it, supporting the tournament scene. This is not a high finance endeavor for Hollywood Pizza. This is not something where Hollywood Pizza is, you know, going to be smoking Cuban cigars and, you know, all. No, this is not that, right? This is a love letter to the community, and Hollywood Pizza has taken on a lot of responsibility to do that stuff. So just a little bit of support, just a little bit of help would mean the world. It really would. So I apologize for all of you folks having to sit through my spiel, but I also thank you for listening to it as well. I have one more thank you to issue real quick, and that is to my co-host, TheDaNinja. Thank you, my friend, for being here. We're getting the top 8 set up, folks, so don't fear. But folks, TheDaNinja, prolific Magic player, and has a lot of places he could have been. Chose to be here, commentating for you. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that very much indeed. Definitely drop TheDaNinja a follow here on Twitch. Streams with some regularity, and definitely worth follow when you do.
Less so recently, but I plan again after the next Pro Tour or Set Championship, as they call it now, to stream a bit more again. And a huge thank you to you as well, John. John, for those of you who don't know, has won a big tournament recently, the Streamer League, with his trusty mono black. So definitely an accomplished player of himself, and a Jack aficionado. So really cool streams that he has very often. So do check out his channel as well. And I wanted to touch, John, on what we were saying about pizza, because I've been playing in these tournaments and watching them for quite some time, and it's really amazing the journey that he's taken. You know, just like over the last year, starting with these like more casual broad tournaments, and now we're here sitting and commenting on a cool PTQ. So it's been a really long journey, and a great journey, and now the production value, everything is just looking amazing. So really big kudos to him for basically building this this whole empire on his own from scratch. So
For
big
sure.
congratulations to him, and great to have this broadcast here today.
Okay, so folks, you should know we had a bit of a miscommunication. The Ninja and I did not know that the game was up, but it was up.
Ooh,
We got to miss you, Pumpa, bringing down game 1. We are now into game 2. I sincerely apologize for that miscommunication. I will accept full responsibility for it. Not quite sure where that happened, where that breakdown happened, but darn it, we apologize for that. Glad we at least got to see it, though. So definitely let us know in the comments or in the chat how you felt like game 1 went, because the Ninja and I did not get to see it. So game 2, though.
Yeah, we are in full swing here, though, John. So, and looks like this is again some sort of like, is it Mir Upumba here, which was our only undefeated player after the Swiss portion, by the way, 7-0. Now in the quarterfinals here, and a bunch of deluges in hand, which is really cool. And thankfully, no interaction from Patrick here, so we get to pick the best out of our top 4. So really nice spot here for Upumba, I'd say.
For sure. Basically just, you know, a full hand plus, right? Because you got a memory deluge in the graveyard as well. You know, working with 8 cards here.
this is really interesting as well. The interaction with Patrick here. They have cast a 4 CMC spell, the Behold, but because it was cast from the Foretell Zone, it only costs them 2 mana, and the Smoldering Egg actually counts how much money you put into it. So it doesn't really care about the CMC, the mana value of the card, which like 99% of the cards do, but it cares about the mana you put in. So here they only put in 2 mana, and they only get 2 counters on
Yeah.
the Smoldering Egg.
Oh boy, what do you take here? Memory Deluge coming out, folks. You get to take 2.
I take everything.
For real, right?
Yeah, those were some good cards.
Looks like Jwari Disruption as a land drop appears. So how animated do you get here about this Smoldering Egg? Are you scared yet? Or is this a thing where you feel like you got time? You're holding a grip just chock full of counter magic, right?
Yeah, this is a little bit concerning. Like, you have these gold spans, but yeah, it's a bit dicey to just throw them out in there. I mean, they might have like a D-stroke or something, and then you kind of get time walled by that. So, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counter spells, and yeah, those don't really interact with the Smoldering Egg. So I am a little bit worried if I'm about this egg, because maybe now I think they might run out one of the gold spans. No, I guess they are just gonna try to pass and deluge enough turn. But yeah, definitely I would say that the egg is just 2 counters, but it is a bit concerning for sure.
For sure. For sure. Man, oh man. Well, that is interesting. Here it comes. Goldspan Dragon
Resolves, okay.
does resolve. Now that treasure, folks, just suddenly gained a mana. Oh.
Oh man.
So
it doesn't even give you the treasure, right? And it's
no.
uncounterable. This is like
Yeah,
perfect against Upumpa's hand here. Oh,
we're
God.
accustomed to cards reading, spell or ability or whatever. That is not what
Oh.
Goldspan Dragon says. If you target Goldspan Dragon with a spell, you get a treasure. That's
Mm.
not a spell, folks. That is an ability on a Magic card. Also notable, it's not a spell, as we just reiterated, right? It's an ability, so you can't counter it either. Well, unless you have a stifle effect. But
That was so perfect. I mean, like, you're sitting at 5 counter spells. An opponent casts an uncounterable way to not even give you a treasure. Oh God. Okay.
All right.
We run it back again, John. Do they have another bouncy land here?
Tell me it's true. That would be glorious. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. All right. How do you navigate this, my friend? Get your treasure. Like, getting the mana right now is free, right? So do you just start the counter war?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Even if it doesn't go your way, you can always like keep like a treasure and a mana open if you want to have some. You might want to like keep a D-stroke open, I guess. Yeah, I think you do go for it here, because like if the gold span goes away, the treasure only gives you 1 mana, so you can't really keep a double counter here if the gold span dies. Sure. So yeah, I think I would go for the Test of Talent, and then.
Oh, but this is risky, right? If you start a counter war with Smoldering Egg on the battlefield.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else you do, right? It does feel a little bit like you're kind of forced into it, right?
The lack of removal for Smoldering is becoming more and more iffy here, because now we're gonna be getting like a couple more counters on the egg, and eventually it's gonna flip. So yeah, there's another negate. So it looks like both players are sitting on like 5 counter spells or something. So finally they get to put them on the battlefield, and unfortunately Upumpa still has 2 counters, but they don't really mess with negates, because they need a bigger target than that.
Okay, so boy, Ashmouth Dragon, a little more threatening than the egg. How do you navigate this? Do you just run out the Hullbreaker Horror next turn? It's uncounterable.
I wonder what Patrick is going to do here, John, because I was kind of thinking that the attack with the Hull was pretty tempting. They might have a better way to use their mana, but
I
They
absolutely
would be down
agree.
to
See,
9, yeah.
I kind of felt like that was a foregone conclusion. You just fire up the Halt. Now, admittedly, we don't know what the other 3 cards in hand are. Maybe Patrick's, you know, holding some Haymaker. But
Yeah, I don't know. Like there was also the one turn that they didn't have the field overing up. That felt like a perfect time to swing in for 7. But hey, what do we know? We don't see Patrick's hand here, so we can only guess. They must have something really amazing. Like maybe it's like a Hull Breaker with some other spells backup or something. But I would
yeah,
have
oh
really
boy.
loved an attack with the Hull there. That's yeah. We'll see what it is, but it has to better be something amazing, John, because I think the attack with the Hull there was really nice, and it is a Hull Breaker.
Okay.
Okay,
It is a Hullbreaker Horror. Yep, we basically, yeah,
I give them a pass.
yep.
And this is interesting. Okay,
Oh,
so
that's sick.
yeah,
Folks,
yeah.
Hullbreaker Horror, uncounterable. But you know what you can do with uncounterable spells?
You
Say,
bounce them.
go back to your hand.
Yeah,
Somehow, not the same. Folks,
it's
Magic's
also
rule
funny.
system, very robust.
It's also funny, like arenas, like ask you, like, do you really want to cast this spell? Because it's like you're trying to counter an uncounterable spell. So like, it goes like, are you really trying to counter this? And like, yeah, I'm just gonna bounce it. Don't worry, arena.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing here.
As silly as this sounds, yes, I do want my spell to be countered. But okay,
Okay.
so Hullbreaker Horror, getting ready to go away. D-Stroke in hand. Oh! Oof.
And bounce the horror back. So this is like horrors just bouncing each other up and down, up and down.
All right, folks.
Interesting.
So I grew up poor, I never got to go any of those fancy birthday parties where they had bouncy castles and all that kind of stuff. And I always wanted to. When I was a kid, like I literally I have some horrific tales. One of which where I still bear scars, where I was bouncing on a bed mattress, and there was a nest of bees underneath, yellow jackets, and I stirred up the nest of yellow jackets, stung me all over and stuff because I was imagining I was in one of those bouncy castles. Okay, that's what's happening here. Just endless bouncing. Until and not just like adult bouncing where you're like, oh, I jumped twice, that's good. No, this is toddler bouncing. They have more energy than you can possibly imagine, and it's going to go on forever. That kind of bouncing. The
this
key.
this is John, like, really sort of cut you out. This is really like very indicative of the specificities of like the is it mirror match, because in a lot of like, if you're playing like, I guess, Esper, they're gonna have like vanishing the vanishing verses, whatever. But like typically you don't really have like hard removal for Hullbreaker in is it mirrors. So it kind of ends up being this kind of game of chicken. Like I cast my Hullbreaker and then bounce your Hullbreaker, and it's just they can't really kill very much the opposing horrors. So they just kind of keep bouncing weirdly the other one down. So it's just really interesting because it doesn't really happen in any other matchup, because usually you would have like uh you know some white or black removal, but here there's just really no like 8 damage burn spells really, maybe outside of like smashing. So it's really hard to kill the horror, so it's mostly just being bounced up and down.
All right, so Unexpected Windfall is a great card, but I have to feel like you pump us on the back foot here, right?
Yeah, Windfall is a bit worse when it can just get bounced, and then you again like 2 for 1. Whenever like the opponent can interact with Windfall, it's kind of dicey because you always have to discard the card as a cost. So, and then if it gets a bounce, you don't get the card back. So it can
Yeah.
be a bit challenging here, and especially being on 6 life. Like, can you even afford to attack here?
This is scary. And how much mana does that give us? A lot. Can we get Hullbreaker Horror and animate? Oh boy, we can't, can we?
The problem is, like, if the horror gets like bouncier before it enters the battlefield, we're pretty much dead, right?
That's GG, right?
Any spell basically is GG here. Even like a disruption, it's just that's super cool. Yeah, that's just enough.
Brutal. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you go for it, right? Because what do you do? Your option is concede,
Mhm.
right? But can you even think of cards that get us out of this situation now? Since you attacked with Goldspan Dragon?
Not really. Just the concede button is probably the best course of action here.
It's a must-answer threat right now. And it wasn't answered, right?
Yeah, these are the situations like in these mirrors, like post board, you obviously want to have a lot of counters, but sometimes they have like a hermit or the egg, and they like play turn 2, and then you just know you're just gonna lose the game because like you're looking at like a bunch of great spells and counter spells, but you just can't really interact with their creatures, and they're gonna disrupt you, start attacking you eventually, and you're just gonna be sitting there trying to draw cards, and they counter those and keep swinging at you. So these cards really do define the post board game sometimes.
For sure. Looks like we've got a foretelling of Behold the Multiverse here from Patrick. We're on the other side of the matchup now, folks. Upampa has a Prismari command that is targeting themselves, drawing to making a treasure. Presumably this is looking for lands, if you had to guess.
Yeah, main phase, but they haven't missed a land drop yet, right? Because it's turn
Right.
3. Yeah, so maybe they're just trying to dodge a counter spell or something. But yeah, they did it main phase, so now we're seeing Patrick on turn 3 here, deciding to just pass here because they didn't have blue white for iteration anyway, so they couldn't have done that. But they do have the Behold the Multiverse in the holster here, so they have that as a fallback plan, or they have a suite of counter spells here if need be.
Sure.
Ooh, doesn't
Now,
go for it. Okay.
oh boy. All right.
I wanted to touch on one thing last game, John. That was again with the Smoldering Egg and the Foretell cards. Like, because it counts the mana you spend for it, like sometimes it actually better, like especially like in the mid game and end game, it's better not to foretell your cards so that you can like flip the Smoldering Egg quicker. Like early on, sure, you probably do want to get it for cheaper, but like later on, you might just want to play it for the full retail. And get that maximum number of counters on the Smoldering Egg.
That does make sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Here we do have a removal that is important here. So we have a removal which can't be countered. So I guess Upumpa's best choice of action would be like a bounce spell on the dragon if they do have something like that.
Now, do you just try and run it out while their mana's down? They've got 2. 2 is kind of still. You have mana up, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Or
if you're gonna do it, I think you do it now because, like, at least if they have some sort of interaction, you force them to crack the treasures. If you do it in their mana phase, they can just use their lands. So if you
makes sense.
are going to do it this turn cycle, I think you do it now.
Yep, for sure.
Are they
For
gonna
sure.
untap? But yeah, it's because it's kind of bad because like you also kind of want to keep up mana. But if you're gonna kill this gold spam before it attacks, I think you should have done it on your own turn because you kind of know that opponent's gonna do nothing on their turn. They're just gonna go straight to attacks. So the first course, the first course of action is gonna have to be debate if you do want to kill it. So if that was your plan all along, then you probably should have done it on your turn because now you're just kind of giving them more options how to deal with this debate here.
Yeah, well, and you're opening yourself up to a counter battle that you're not going to win. You don't even get to,
Well, you
like,
can't. It can't be countered. So,
well, I mean, they can bounce it, right?
yeah, like
So if you were gonna, it feels like if you weren't gonna do it on your turn. Now, again, I'm not the pro, so correct me if I'm kind of if I would have made the wrong play here, but I feel like I would have made the heated debate on my own turn, or waited until I had counter backup. Like if you're just, because this feels.
Yeah, it's like I understand like the kind of mindset from Patrick. Like I also sometimes fall into the trap of like I kind of want to keep my mana open. What if something else happens? But like in this situation, you can kind of think, okay, well, what is the opponent going to do? They're probably going to go straight to attacks, and then I'm going to just have to kill the ghost anyway because I don't want to give them the treasure from attacks. So then once you come to that conclusion, then okay, well, I just kill it now because it's going to be the first thing I do on their turn anyway, right? So that's kind of the thinking you probably should go through there at that point.
Now, Test of Talents, a crazy magic card. Really, really cool.
Okay.
It's the only counter spell. Would you hesitate? Do you just snap this off here? Do you go after the negates?
it's a bit risky also because like now you're kind of tapping out. So if the opponent has another gold span, like that's gonna resolve.
Yeah.
Even though you have 2D strokes which are currently kind of doing nothing.
So now again, it kind of worked out for Patrick. Honestly, I think this is kind of fine. The Ashmouth Dragon flipping is good, but like, how would you have felt about maybe just behold the multiverse, draw some cards, see if they want to fight over your counter magic? How would that make you feel? Do you feel like was there any possibility of going that direction?
Yeah, I mean, definitely they could have gone many different ways. Kind of felt like putting your mana down from the D strokes, like especially since the D strokes are kind of specific, like they don't really get everything. They needs to be like a gold span or like a Behold the Multiverse or the Deluge. So it only gets like a subsection of all the cards, whereas like Negate gets pretty much everything. So having those two in hand, uh, you kind of do want to find some targets here, and it's you see these iterations just going under them, right? It
Yeah, that's
kind of feels like a 4
kinda
mana
rough.
card, but it only costs 2 mana, so it's not a legal
Yeah.
target.
For sure. Okay, so if you're on Upumpa's side, we don't know what's in Upumpa's hand, but if you're on Upumpa's side and you've got another
Okay.
That one feels like you pretty much snap it off every time, right?
I mean,
I
whenever
was
you
going
get
to say some other kind of counter spell, a negate or something. Do you fight over the counter magic now?
yeah,
Jawari Disruption's pretty easy, right? That one just feels good to snap off this late in the game, right?
it's always like a little bit of you dice inside when you get to Warrior Disruption, like especially on like turn 6, 7 up. It's like it's just 1 mana. How do I not have 1 mana to pay here? But it just happens all the time because people rightfully so try to maximize their mana. That's where like the treasures become so important because like you know it kind of gives you protection from the Jawari because you don't really want to spend a treasure to pay for Jawari, but you always threaten to do it, so it's not a great play to Jawari if you have the treasure. So it's really important for that kind of interaction. But here, unfortunately, Patrick is out of treasures right now.
Yeah, and Fading Hope hitting that Smoldering Egg again.
For the second time, yeah. This egg just can't really, it's starting to become an omelet at this point. Like it's just flying up and down. I mean,
yeah, for sure, for sure. Just getting sent back to hand over and over.
but I would say that is sort of good for us too because like that gives you that tells you they don't have a removal because I don't think that they would just keep bouncing if they had like an actual burn spell. So they probably just don't have an answer for it. So just slam it again and just try to level it up one more time. They can't keep bouncing it forever. They probably only have like 2 or maximum 3 bounce spells post board anyway. So might as well just throw it out there again and maybe just main phase Behold. I wouldn't hate that here.
Yeah, and they have no blue mana, right? So you know you're gonna get to scry 2, draw 2, get a couple of
And
counters
keep up
on.
the D stroke too after that.
Yeah, that.
Ooh.
I'd be pretty happy. I behold the multiverse this turn because that. While it's not the
Interesting.
same as draw 4, bottom 2, draw 2 feels real good. All right, expressive iteration, man. If I'm on Patrick's seat, I am a little bit green with envy here. Upumpa just casting. Is this the third expressive iteration from Upumpa?
There's been a bunch, yeah. I mean, it's really interesting because Patrick is the one holding the really tricky kind of annoying threats, but doesn't really have like the Carvantage or anything to really third one to really like combo with it. At the other hand, you have Upumba, which is like doesn't really have any threats, but has all the cards in the world. So like if the players can like be like I give you 2x and you give me 1 deluge, how about that trade? I'm sure that both sides would be kind of happy with that.
Right. All right. Smoldering Egg triggers.
Both of them do.
Stainful Stroke. Now, feels a little bad because Upumpa has infinite mana here. They're going to be able to cast that again. Okay. More counters going on those eggs.
Yeah, that's always a really tricky question. Like, do you counter the deluge, or do you like try to wait for the flashback deluge, or what do you do? It's like there's no good way to go about it really.
For sure. Well, I mean, it's the classic conundrum of whether or not to fight over the draw, right? Because the idea that card advantage is powerful is, I mean, doesn't really need defended. It is just it's good stuff. You want more cards. You want access to more options and all that stuff, right? But so if you counter the spell though, okay, they're going to draw those cards eventually. So do you counter the meaningful cards that they draw off of it? Some of them are going to be lands, stuff like, right? So there's this old debate.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're only countering half a card to begin with, it feels pretty bad. Do you feel like having the smoldering eggs on the battlefield is enough of an advantage to just say, I want to run my spells out, just trying to flip the smoldering eggs? Is that enough of motivation?
Yeah, I mean, if they get any target whatsoever, they might use this disruption. Now, this is so cruel for Patrick. Like, they have all these threats, but like they didn't really do anything wrong. Like, they just sadly didn't like draw any of their like iteration and whatnot.
Yeah.
And
Well,
but
they
did,
had
and
one iteration and it got Test of Talents, or did it just get
yeah,
negated?
I think it might have gotten Test of Talents or something. But yeah, they just haven't drawn anything since. And yeah, as is almost always the case in Magic, like the player who drew, like 10 more cards is gonna win probably here.
All right. How do you feel about this? They're gonna pay. This is not.
That's
This
interesting
is
because
not going to counter anything, right?
it is gonna flip the first egg, so now you have a blocker for the dragon.
Correct. That, to me, that feels pretty good, right? Now,
Yeah,
the fact that
imagine John drawing just like any like 4-mana draw spells from Patrick here. Like you just like flip your egg and then you like draw two cards, you kill that or stupid gold spell, and then you're pinging them for the 6 every spell you cast. Like you're in such a commanding position, but you just need like one spell to go off here. Not sure if they're gonna get the time to do that though.
yeah, I mean, because okay, let's say nothing changes. You pump us on air, and you can't cast anything. They swing in with Goldspan Dragon. Do you just snap off the trade?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Do you trade now? Do you trade now?
Yep. I would trade both of the non-flying eggs for one of the flying dragons if I could.
Oh boy, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it?
That is not a
I mean,
deal they will
essentially
offer.
there.
No.
Oh my!
Dragon. What? I thought that they come in pairs, but they come in triplets. Where it looks like. Oh, that's brutal for
good
for
heavens. Okay, well, so bummer, man, bummer. Yeah. Defeat, folks. That was game 3. So
yeah,
congratulations to you, Pampa, and well done to Patrick. You got this far. There is no shame losing top 8. But we're down to the top 4. Mm-hmm. We've got Izzet Control, Jeskai Combo, Esper Midrange, and Naya Runes. All 4 individual decks. Well, folks, we are getting ready and getting it into the match, folks. This is top 4.
All right.
This is where fates are decided. It's coming right down to it. The winner here headed to the finals. The loser here gets rewarded. This is, you can't be ashamed. Gets rewarded, but does go home, or probably is home. I'm not sure.
Goes to bed.
You can never tell, but probably is already home, but doesn't get to keep playing. Okay, that's what we're going for here. Oh boy. All right, so we are on Victorious's side and staring at 6 lands. Not a great feeling. Sends that hand back, keeps okay, here we go. Keeps 4 land hand, but gets to send 1 back. How do you feel about this keep? Is this one you're happy about?
There isn't really much going on, but we have this commune with whatever it's called, spirits.
Yeah, commune with spirits, I believe. Yeah.
That I can find out some action, so hopefully we find just a rune. Okay, we're hoping for maybe an enchantment creature, I think there.
Yeah. Oh boy. And this Esper mid-range deck is I mean it's definitely grindy, right? It's not looking to kill very quickly. It's running 4 Eye Twitch, it's running a pair of Shambling Gas, but it's not really running a lot of other aggressive creatures. The Victorious here has time, right?
Yeah, and that is very important, John, because I've watched some of the games from Simon Nielsen, and like I've seen some games where they just really don't do anything for like the first 5 turns. Like sure, or even like 8 turns, they cast some creatures, they get killed. They do a bit of back and forth, but really no big board presence. They might be even behind on life, whatever. And then like suddenly they have like 8 mana and they like cast a bunch of creatures, give them haste, and then they maybe assemble the combo, get free runes, and they just out of nowhere they just win the game. So never discount this auras not auras. It's more like a runes deck, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think it's safe to call it an enchantment deck, right? Because it's more than just runes. It's centered around runes, obviously. I think that is central theme. But like, you're doing some kami stuff that cares about just enchantments in general. Remember we talked about that Generous Visitor. 1 mana 1/1, but whenever you cast, notably folks, cast an enchantment spell, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. So that isn't one of those when it enters or something, if it gets counterspelled, none of that. No. On cast, you can grow something. So it just cares about enchantments, right?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of interesting how to call it, because then there's like the Enchantress deck, which is in Historic, which is a whole different beast, which is like all about like drawing the cards and with when you cast an enchantment. This is pretty firmly in the kind of combo-ish rune build, but it does have some other enchantments which matters as well. So it's kind of an enchantment matters deck, which has the kind of combo element with the runes. And yeah, I mean these Runeforge champions are kind of like, it basically like it doesn't say on the card, but it basically like says like when it enters the battlefield, draw a card, because you always find a rune, and then all the runes give you a card. So it's like a hidden text on the card. Is a draw card and get like +1/+1 and haste, whatever.
Sure. Well, and I mean, it's a 3 mana 2/3. You're not excited about that in constructed, but a 3 mana 2/3 that immediately replaces itself with a card that's valuable. It replaces itself plus a little advantage, right? Suddenly, okay, this is a respectable card. No, it's not, going to be breaking the metagame anytime soon, all on its own. But it does have enough synergy that it's not an embarrassing card either, right? Just all on its own. Now, oftentimes, and feel free to guide me in this, but I've played my share of synergy decks, right? And the primary problem with synergy decks is sometimes you draw the wrong half. If you're running like creatures and pump spells, sometimes you draw your pump spells and you don't draw any creatures, and vice versa, right? In this style deck, Runeforge Champion is a battle in a box. It gets you its pieces right from the get-go, and helps give you that velocity through your deck, keep you drawing cards and stuff, right?
Yeah, and like also basically discounts all the runes by half, because all of them cost 2, so now they cost 1, so that's also pretty big. And I think the big also interesting part with the runes is you can put them on lands, whatever, it just says enchant permanence. Like sometimes you might be worried of like getting your creature killed in response and then getting kind of 2-for-1, but if you see opponents has a lot of interaction in hand, maybe you can just put them on land, especially on the creature lands. It's kind of interesting, because then once you animate them, they're gonna have like +1/+1 and trample, lifelink, whatever the rune is. So that is super cool.
All right, so Victorious just swung in for 7 lifelinking damage. Thagol has a pair of black mana, a white mana, a wedding announcement, and a token.
And a dream.
And a dream. Okay. So pick your side. Whose seat do you want to sit in right now?
I mean, we saw it last turn, John. Like Thagol like main faced a dispute, which is already like, what's happening here? They were obviously looking for land. They didn't find the land. They just end up passing. Didn't do anything else. I mean, we're trying to do some damage control now, but I feel like we're just like, if we can kill the other champion, I guess
we have another. But Victorious has another Runeforge Champion and a Rune of Speed in hand.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a good turn for that goal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If you were trying to draw up the comeback, it started, right? But
But then we
would you be willing to say right now that they are at parity?
no. And the big reason of that is Showdown of the Skulls. I mean, the card has seen homes in a lot of decks playing, white and green. Usually it's Naya or Boros, but here, even being an enchantment actually matters here. Sometimes they get discounted by 1 or 2 mana. Even it's just really insane for this deck. Like it really fits in like a glove.
It really does. And I mean, yeah, throwing those counters around, it can get out of hand. And we didn't even talk about you briefly mentioned the combo. There is a brand new card called Jukai Naturalist, a white and a green for a 2/2 lifelink. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Okay? So you would think, oh, well, your runes cost 2 mana, that makes them all cheaper. That's true. Only the catch is Rune Force Champion says it makes them 1 colorless. So if you reduce 1 colorless by 1 colorless, I'm not very good at math, folks, but I can tell you that's free, right? And
I mean, it's definitely cheaper. I mean,
it's definitely cheaper. Okay, Rite of Oblivion coming out of the bin, spending their whole turn. Runeforge Champion still on the battlefield. Out comes Showdown of the Scalds. Exile the top 4 cards of the library, folks. Land from there as well. Oh boy.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel?
I have to feel for Thagol here. Like they are so woefully behind here. They're just like trying to stay alive or something. And meanwhile, Victoria is just like, oops, drew 4 cards. Don't mind me here. It's really incredible. Sure, you can try to keep killing these creatures, but you're down to 7 now. You're gonna take maybe you're dead now. I don't even. Are you dead? You're close to dead, I think. Yeah, not
it's
quite, but. Yeah, you're almost dead here, down to 1. Like you kill this champion, but then they still gonna have like commune, and
yeah,
it's gonna be hard.
it's going to be hard. Admittedly, 1 is not 0.
Bold attack here. Okay, down to 25.
All right. Well, admittedly, they know the list, and there are only 2 Rune of Speeds, right? So no more Rune of Speeds in the deck.
Interesting.
And
I would
assume
feel like I haven't played much John with this deck, but I would feel like the haste or the haste rune seems like one of the better ones. But I guess maybe not. They're just choosing to play 2, but really interesting because like the haste part is really strong. Like being able to rebuild after like sweepers or whatever.
Sure.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, and went for a Showdown of the Scalds over a creature.
Second one, by the way.
A second one. Commune with Spirits. Gonna throw a counter onto the Kami. Okay. Jukai Naturalist. Makes to the hand. The Kami already has Trample. There have been 2... okay, yeah, I was gonna say there have been 2 Rite of Oblivions. So it's kind of greedy to ask for more, right? But it turns out the goal did not, in fact, have more. Looks like we go to sideboard. Victorious takes down game 1. That's where Victorious is going to want to be in the matchup. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Victorious wants to come out of nowhere, blast you with their main deck, and then probably doesn't have as good of a sideboard plan. Would you agree with that when looking at the Esper's sideboard? Esper has all the duresses.
I mean, it's a pretty hard matchup to really prepare for. Like, I think stuff like Farewell is a really potent card against this, for example.
Sure. Yeah.
But even that, like even such a potent sweeper like Farewell, like I think this deck just really rebuilds really well if you play it correctly. You just have like so much card advantage between like all the runes and the showdowns and whatever. Like you just draw so many cards. It is pretty hard to like. You can pretty easily play around the sweeper. I think a lot of the times.
So okay, now I'm putting you on the spot. Victorious is already taking game 1. Can Victorious 2-0? Or is Thagol on the comeback streak?
I mean, I would like to see Thagol, maybe win game 2 here and make it a bit more interesting. So we'll see. I mean, Victorious has been victorious quite a lot recently, so they
True.
are on a bit of a streak here. And I would say that probably the matchup does favor them, even though, as I said, like I haven't played tons of these matchups. So the format is pretty new, but I do think that this is a pretty tricky deck to like prepare for and combat, like with all its different angles. So
Sure.
we'll see if Thagol can. I mean, I have to say that the first game was kind of an on game. Like, yeah, sure, Victorious did some stuff, but it was mostly about Thagol missing the land drops, missing the whole game basically. Like they were always like 2 steps behind
Yeah.
and never quite caught up.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like to call it on the back foot would probably be doing Thagol a disservice because it never really felt like they got going. Admittedly, did get to remove 4 creatures and stuff. Their deck showed up a little bit, but if it doesn't show up in the lands department, you don't cast your spells like that. Yeah, I agree. It's a little bit of a non-game. But made it to turn 3.
Made it to turn 3. Yeah, that's a big achievement. I mean,
Yeah.
congratulations to Thagol.
Yeah.
No, in all seriousness, yeah, we have an attack with the Hermit here, and
Ooh, wedding announcement. Coming on
team
down.
upgrade. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
Okay, Jukai Naturalist coming out of the hand. Going to make all enchantment spells last, but keep in mind, folks, that is also an enchantment. So Kami Transcendent grows a wee bit, comes naturally with Trample. Do you fire off Rune of Might on the Kami? Or do you just go with the lifelink to try and swing the matchup that way?
Kami, maybe.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Well,
I was waiting to make that joke for too long.
Okay.
Now we have it out of the way. we can return to the match again. I mean, the naturalist already has lifelink, so I think that is the correct placement for the rune.
Sure. All right. You block here? How much do you care about the Malevolent Hermit here?
Not much.
They're holding Brilliant Restoration, which is a little bit silly. 7 mana spell.
Can you remind me what that does, John? I'm not sure if I
absolutely can. But keep in mind, it's a sorcery, and it's 7 mana. White, 3.
That is a lot of white.
And return all artifact and enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. So straight up, bring your graveyard in this deck. Almost everything's an enchantment anyway. Just bring your graveyard, slap it back onto the battlefield for 7 mana. Right? So if you're expecting the game to go late, I mean, it's also going to draw you a million cards because the runes, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I was just expecting for you to say like it costs like 4 mana less for each aura you have in your hand or something, but that is not the case.
No.
And apparently it's counterable as well. So
it is. You pay the iron price here, right? Yeah. You are tapping 7 mana one way or another to do this.
And you're counting that you still have a graveyard by the time. If opponent plays like a random Farewell or something, that there might be no graveyard for you to return back. So that is a pretty hefty setup cost for the restoration here.
Sure. All right. Rune of Might.
And we have the combo assemble here, right? Free runes.
Yep. Just don't want to run out of runes.
And there we go.
Okay. 4/3. Lifelink. Slaps in for 4. Trying to make this lifelink just changes the race. Just any amount of lifelink damage just changes the race entirely, right? This does not feel like the sort of game that Thagol is going to win if it comes down to race mode, right?
Yeah. And also a really interesting also a really interesting point is like they are choosing to suit up the naturalist here, which is kind of interesting because you have the vanishing verses, but those can't target the naturalist, so they kind of has evasion from that, and that's going to be like a 4 of removal in their deck. So at that point, you're kind of dodging a fair bit of the removal just by being multicolored,
Yeah, for sure. Definitely and like there's no way you pull out the deadly or the vanishing verse, right? You're
Yeah, you're keeping those. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
who do you think is ahead here, John? I mean, I don't even.
So, yeah, I was going to say, if wedding announcement resolves, I think it's still firmly victorious, right? Like that's, the fact that it's not does Thagol's got a shot here because those are going to come back as evasive creatures. I don't feel like you can attack here, right? No, you're gonna pass the turn, and suddenly I Twitch as a 2/2. That's a
Yeah,
real
and these are gonna
attacker.
be 3/3
Benevolent
Geists
Geist
now.
come back as
Yeah.
3/3s with evasion. Your attacks aren't better this turn.
You're just hoping to dodge a showdown, right?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Oh, ho, ho, ho. I mean,
Okay.
y-
Yasharn just awakening from its slumber in historic, in the pitfalls of historic, and now suddenly making appearances in standard here. Ooh,
oh,
ran out of
no
right sources.
white source. There's only 2 white sources over there, folks. Only 2. This
Alright.
Brilliant Restoration feels like, oh, well, we can cast it next turn. We'll have 7 mana.
Yeah, no.
No?
This pathway is the Gruul pathway, right? So that doesn't help either.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's the Gruul pathway. Correct. So we're still 2
Okay.
land draws
Okay.
away.
Okay.
Oh, my word.
All right. I'm digging
We might be
this.
going to game 3, folks.
Ooh, I'm not sure if I love the
Okay,
no
that's a
attacks
really good card.
on the eye twitch though.
All
That's a bit.
right.
Why do you think we didn't attack with the eye twitch there, John? Just to have one extra blocker, really? Or maybe to block with, so we can.
Maybe there's something in the that they're hoping to get as a a lesson, right?
Yeah, so they're kind of like threatening, like, oh, do you want to attack? Well, then I'm gonna get a spell, if you. So they kind of, if they always keep one back, like, you can either not attack me ever, or you can give me a card.
Yeah, which admittedly is, I think that's a reasonable approach here. Do you go after the teachings of the Archaics to try and draw cards, or do you go after maybe the mascot exhibition? Like you're not there yet, I don't think, right? You just 5 mana. That feels like that can't be right, right?
Even get the best if they have those, because you're gonna draw from. Are you gonna? Vampire just draws with tokens too, right? I'm not sure.
It does. The vampire is going to, or it's on power though, right? The welcoming vampire is power 2 or less. So,
Yeah, but if you cast the best summoning, then that would count, right? Because those are 1/1s, they're gonna be 2/2s, yeah.
Yes, correct.
So that would kind of give you two 2/2s and a card that would have seemed like a pretty good deal.
Yeah, for sure. This doesn't do it, right? This is just game. That goal's got him.
Yeah,
we gain 2 life, go up to 13.
And this restoration, like, even I wonder, like, we can't see the graveyard, but wonder, like, how huge of a difference here would have made if they could have casted. Like, yeah, I mean, they would have done something, but I'm not even sure if that would have been a winning play there.
Yeah, that wedding announcement, and then notably, the wedding announcement on Victorious's side also getting countered. That was relevant, right?
Yeah, and it's just getting cut from the deck. I love it. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's 7 mana quadruple white. Like, you have to have 7 mana. You have to have 4 white. You have to have a graveyard, and you have to have an opponent to play against at that point. I mean, there's a lot of things you have to have that work out, and it can't be countered. I mean, there's so many things that have to work out for that to actually do this thing.
Now, and please give me your perspective. But my perspective on standard right now is the mana's pretty good, but like shards are tough, right? When you're in Naya mana, asking for 4 of one color seems kind of a lot, right? Like, we don't have great dual lands. The pathways are good, but they're not dual lands, right?
Yeah, that is a big problem, because, like, you have to lock in a color early, and then, like, you never know if you're gonna need, like, quadruple 4 on turn 20. Like, they're not really dual lands in the true meaning of the word. They're kind of like split basics, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, for sure. So, folks, we went to game 3. For those of you maybe in the chat who are doubting Thagol, struck back kind of with a vengeance there. Victorious was executing their game plan, firing on all cylinders, so to speak, and Thagol ended up kind of running them over with a bunch of little nobody style creatures.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what this deck wants to do, right? The mid-range deck.
That's the power of the wedding announcement too. Like all those 1/1s suddenly are 2/2s, and the 2/2s are 3/3s. And suddenly you're taking like 10 damage in the air. You don't even know about it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Easily went from this is no big deal to oh crud, you know?
Okay.
Oh crud. Real quick, folks, we do want to do a quick shout out. The tcgplayerpro.com. Definitely get in there and check them out. Huge appreciation goes out to our sponsors. Appreciate the folks behind the scenes and our good friend Hollywood Pizza for putting this thing on. Just really wanted to kind of scooch that in there. Thank you, folks. Appreciate you. So Victorious here, running out the 4th land, runs out the Welcoming Vampire and a Commune of Spirits. Oh boy, but there is not. Oh, all right.
I'm starting to get like flashbacks from the first game, John. Like, what is Thagol doing here?
Yeah. Oh
Not
boy.
much currently.
Yeah, for sure. Now, admittedly, we don't know what those cards are. If they come up with a bunch of Rite of Oblivions and that's just the hand they kept, that's fine. But when you have to use your Rite of Oblivions on, these extra style permanents, it kind of feels bad, right?
Yeah, I mean, and as well, like as we already said a couple of times, like this is not Esper control. This is definitely more tempo, mid range, whatever you want to call it. And okay, I think they didn't know that it couldn't get an enchantment, because it's kind of like the Oblivion Ring style effect, Banishing Light. That usually gets anything, but I don't know if they meant to just get rid of a Witch there, or what a Shambling Yast. I mean, that's seemed like they were a bit surprised that they couldn't target the announcement there. But either way, okay, scratch that. Okay, now we have Lol coming in here. That's nice.
That's if you're gonna do nothing for a while. Doing nothing and then casting Lulth is typically kind of a good thing to do, right? As long as you're not dead, of course. Been there.
Yeah.
Being
dead usually hinders your chances in the game quite a bit.
For sure. Okay, Runamite hitting this Welcoming Vampire. Man, flying and trample?
Yeah.
That's a heck of a combo. You don't typically get a lot of defenses on there, and boom, second wedding announcement. This one kind of hits the board with a thump, doesn't it? The first one felt real good. This one feels like it's you're going wider than your opponent all of a sudden, right?
Because now we're gonna get the bodies, and then eventually it's gonna be like 3/3s, which and now we're getting draw cards from the Vampire too. Really, really cool situation here. I mean, I wanted to say on behalf of the Esper player, like as we said, this is not control. This is more mid range tempo. So like these decks don't necessarily, like, if they're behind, if it like looks like they're behind, they are probably behind. It's not going to be very easy for them to catch up out of nowhere, because they do need that early game setup. They're not like holding counter spells most of the time. They're trying to develop their permanence. So if it looks like they're behind, they probably are.
Yeah, for sure. And like, we're looking at things like board sweepers and things here, right? Well, okay, if you're on the Esper mid-range side, you're looking for what? Meathook Maskers? Well, I'm counting mana, and that's X equals 4.
Yeah, doesn't kill the Vampire.
It doesn't. And then, so they just accept that and just keep getting beat down by this gigantic vampire, or what? Is it worse? Do you continue to wait around and get beat down by the rest of their team as well? It feels kind of bad here, right?
Yeah, I mean,
especially knowing that it can grow.
At this point, Victorious is also heading, like, pulling up on cards, because as we said, like, this champion has a hidden text of draw card.
Yeah.
And there's a second draw card because of the vampire. No, actually that didn't trigger because of it's 3 power, but yeah, I think they're gonna draw a card from the wedding announcement at the end of the turn. It's kind of funny that if they were to cast a third wedding announcement, that wouldn't give them cards from the vampire, because the tokens would be too big to be considered small at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of those embarrassment of riches things. I can't draw a card because my 1/1's a 3/3. You know.
They would have to cast like a 0/0 walking ballista or something so they could draw a card. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
This has
yeah,
got to be tough from Thagol's side. Now, okay, let's just say, okay, there's a land drop.
let's say there's a sweeper now. I mean, we can still protect the vampire with the safekeeping. This deck just like doesn't care too much about sweepers, honestly. If you play it right, if you play the
You
cards
just
right.
keep rebuilding and keep rolling, right? Do you agree with this? Is this the correct attack? Because they can block with the Hive of the Eye Tyrant?
Yeah, I think you might have been able to push in a bit more, or maybe put some extra auras on this vampire. I'm not sure where
Right.
it feels like you're playing a little bit too passively. Like, sure, like maybe they're playing it on the sweeper, but you can probably throw in one more rune or something. You know,
Sure.
I
Well,
would
and
I
I mean,
wouldn't mind like even a rune on maybe the letter of the Hydra here, John. That would have
well,
been a reasonable play too.
so for me, I don't know. I because your opponent knows your deck as well. Like, okay, okay,
Okay, this is gonna do some stuff.
things are happening, right? But like, it's not like you're playing at instant speed. Do you think it was maybe the correct call to animate the lair of the Hydra there? Maybe if you were
It could
if
have
you
been also like I think the flyer was exactly 6 toughness. So like had we
yeah
put one extra aura there, that would you see the amount of mana they have, so you can kind of count like okay they can cast a mid hook for 6 or 7. You could have tried to keep them off of that, and that would have been pretty brutal because now they would be facing a 7 power creature or something.
sure.
So, but here we're gonna do a bunch of damage. Is this gonna be lethal
It,
or
I
probably not quite?
Yeah, I don't know. Because we can give haste to both of them,
Yeah.
and there's going to be 1/1 counters hitting that Kami. I don't think we quite have the mana for it, but let's hold on just a second because that's going to give +2/+2 essentially, right? So
And then
going up to an 8, we need to get 3 more.
I think we got there.
No,
No.
we do kill them because the rune of speed gives +1/+0, right?
Yeah, and haste to the other one plus a trigger plus we have this rune of
Ooh, this does
sustenance.
not give +1/+1, right?
This one gives only lifelink, but it gives a counter from the Kami.
Yes.
So this is gonna
Okay, so
be
rune of speed still gets it there, right? Because the Kami,
Exactly, I think.
I think
Exactly
so.
15.
So Kami goes to
This is
10.
crazy.
Rune Forge
Yeah,
goes to
yeah,
5. Sure
yeah.
enough, got there.
Nice.
Got there. Well played, Victorious. Well played. Holy cow. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think I would have gone about the previous turn differently, but it also panned out. So I can't judge too much. The finals is about to start. We're going to be playing some Magic
Let's
here.
go.
And this is the one you've been waiting for, folks. It's Upampa, who we have been able to witness, against Victorious, who we've been able to witness, playing different decks, doing wildly different strategies.
You can kind of tap out for a gold spell and have a pretty good likelihood of it making the round back to you.
All right, folks, we're into it, and here it is. Victorious sending back a 6-land hand. That's not what you want to see when you make it to the finals. All right.
What about you, John? Which side do you pick before we get into
I'm
it
on
here?
Victorious' side. I'm not even sure that I am giving it any thought as far as I think that they will win. I love this deck, and I think this deck is super fun. I'm not sure if I'm going to play it on stream or not, but I'm absolutely going to be piloting this deck because it's, just doing the thing, doing more of the thing, and then combo, almost feeling like you're comboing off, and stuff. Like it looks fun. So
I have to agree with you, John, that like from a viewer perspective, it's just, or even a player perspective, it's just much more fun than Naya deck. But if I just wanted to win a game, I would probably choose the Izzet side. But it is just so fun, this deck. I'm really excited to see it here in the finals.
Yeah, I can get behind exactly that. Commune with Spirits being cast after, darn it, that Kami goes to the bin because of the Mino Upampa casting a Prismari Command. That card is a strong card. Prismari
Yeah,
Command feels like it does it all every time they cast it. What is it? Changes from game to game, but it does exactly what you want.
Yeah, I mean, it's killing a creature and ramping up, especially like with the treasure. Either you can like cast a turn, they could just play a land here and play a Goldspan, right? That is definitely within the realm of possibility there. Unfortunately, their turn is going to be a little bit less explosive here. They are maybe they're digging for a land because they haven't cast a land before the windfall, so likely they were hoping to hit a land, and they seem to have not.
Okay, so here's what I posit. Upampa's hand is stacked. There's no lands in there. They discarded a gold span dragon, folks. They discarded a gold span dragon to their windfall.
I think
what does that hand look like?
Yeah, I mean, they probably have another Goldspan Dragon, right?
Got to, right?
Yeah,
no land.
Yeah, it would be hard for me to believe that if they only had one Goldspan, that would be the card they choose to discard. I think that has to mean that they have another one. I mean, honestly.
Now, being on Victorious' side, they just slammed a Hallowed Haunting and went after the Rune of Might. Upampa responds with Fading Hope to send Jukai Naturals back to hand, but the 1/1's on the board, right?
Yeah, I mean the Haunting is I really love that card. It's one of my favorite cards. I play it in Historic as well. But here it's gonna be a really hard. I mean, I just don't think that the Upama even has a way to get it out of the battlefield. I mean, that's an enchantment, and is notoriously bad at dealing with enchantments.
Sure. Yeah, and like Jukai Naturalist, folks, that reads 2/2 lifelink, right? Only there's an additional line of text there. It's enchantment creature. So when it comes out, it makes another spirit. The Generous Visitor, folks, you know, like throwing counters around when you cast enchantments. But Generous Visitor, also a spirit. And the Hallowed Hauntings get bigger for every spirit you control. Oh! Burn down the house. That's a good one.
Yeah, but like, just look at this. How Victorious is gonna rebuild. I can already see it crystallizing. They can go for the champion if they want. Okay, let's start with the Kami, sure. But they just get haste on this. They get they got the Kami back. Now there's gonna be a 4/4 hasty. They already have a 2/2 on the board now. I mean, and the board is almost full again, and they just like cast like 2 spells.
Boom! Showdown of the Scalds. Now, when you're down to 2 cards in hand,
I want to have 2 showdowns in my hand if I'm down to 2 cards in hand.
Fair. That's fair. Oh man, that's a good card, folks. For those of you who don't remember, 4 mana enchantment, and you exile the top 4 cards of your library. You can cast them, right? So that's what we're talking about. Just infinite amounts of action in this deck when it starts going off, right? Folks, remember, giveaway upcoming for a code that is from Kamigawa, the pre-release code for Kamigawa. So definitely get your interaction into chat, folks. Get your interaction into chat. It's easy. It's easy. All right.
And
how do you navigate this turn?
We do have a Goldspan on the other side, which I was pointing out as one of the key cards for Upampa here in this matchup. It's not kind of unlikely to die. Provides mana, and key negate here on the
oh my goodness
on the showdown. That is very, very important.
Okay, now Generous Visitor is a spirit,
not an enchantment though. But I guess it would pump because it is a spirit, so that would have counted.
Okay, so do you offer the trade with the Takami?
No. I mean, I do offer the trade, but I don't take it from Upampa probably. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they.
All right.
No. Okay. Interesting. Maybe they feel like they do have to do that.
Maybe they've got another burn down the house.
Yeah.
That's where I'd want to be, right? All right. Generous Visitor makes it to the battlefield. And folks, Generous Visitor, again, the 1-mana 1/1 that gives 1/1 counters when you cast enchantments. Oh boy, there's the third Goldspan Dragon coming out. Folks, keep in mind, the Kami keeps coming back because it says at the beginning of each end step, if an enchantment was put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn, you may return Kami Transcendent from the graveyard to your hand. So that's, Kami has an enchantment on it. If they kill it, it comes back, right? So that's kind of what was going on there. Kami
Yeah,
comes
I mean,
down
it's
first.
just really interesting that you have a bunch of like random spirits in your deck too, because like Haunting cares about those. So I guess Haunting was
Lethal?
just waiting for the sets to come out to be really, really at its
Right?
best.
Looks like, folks, I think this is lethal, right?
So we can search.
Yeah,
This even searches the graveyard, which is super interesting. Like, yeah,
for sure.
not only library, but we can even because we can pull this haste rune out of there, and now we're 4, 5. They do have 2 mana up still, so I assume that Upumpa has some interaction because otherwise they probably would have been forced to stay back with the Goldspan Dragon.
Yeah, but this still feels bad, right? Because they're making another spirit. Well, okay. Yeah,
I mean, it does feel bad, but they are maybe still alive here.
Yeah. So not dead, but feels bad. Admittedly, what does the scry say? Does it stay top? Goes bottom. Okay.
I like that.
Yep. All right. This is 10. How do you feel about 1 life?
1 life better than 0, John.
I mean, okay. All right. We've got that with
I'll take it.
We'll agree on that. We'll agree on that for sure. Okay, so
but even if you burn down the house, you're just dead. So
yeah, you just die.
You could take an extra turn here, maybe, if Upumpa has the Gambit. I have to check their deck list for that or not.
Okay. Galvanic Iteration. 4. Upumpa. Don't hold us in agony here! Unexpected Windfall. Okay.
They're not
this is
playing
a
the
lot
Gambit,
of looks
John,
and a lot of mana.
Ooh, that is going to be 8, 9 mana, okay. But we need something specific. Like we need a sweeper, and then we still need a bounce spell.
Okay.
Deluge. Dig in.
Oh my goodness. Okay, down to 5 mana, folks. Down to 5 mana. But there is Galvanic Iteration in the bin. So if there's something cheap enough that could get the job done, it could be copied. What do you have, Upumpa?
I think they have
Time
a game
now.
too.
Don't keep us in agony. This is terrible. Oh my goodness. Like
with every mana they spend, is like less and less likely that there's gonna be something. Like when they had like 10 mana, I was like, maybe, and now there's like only 5. I'm like, okay, probably not.
Yeah, exactly.
But we'll see.
Oh my goodness.
Upumpa is a great player, but I'm not sure if they can get out of this mess.
Expressive Iteration is not the card. That was not the one. It's a great card. It's not the card you were looking for. And it screams, I'm still digging, which is also not what Upumpa wanted to be doing right now.
It screams game 2 for me, John, here.
All right. Yeah, there we go. GG. Okay, Victorious takes down game 1. Does this change your opinion, TheDaNinja? Before we started, you're like, oh, I want to sit in the Izzet seat. If I just said, hey, you can get up and switch seats now, would you do it?
I mean, being a game up, that is probably a pretty good proposition here. I mean, as far as arena username, I mean, I have to give it to Victorious. They have chosen correctly. I mean, imagine they call themselves losing. That'd be 0-2 drop. So like this is definitely a good calculated risk on their part. Upumpa is not too bad either, but unfortunately, it's not Victorious so far.
It's true.
We'll see if that changes in game 2. But yeah, I mean, I still think that the Izzet deck is kind of pretty well positioned here, but the first game didn't quite pan out. We saw a pretty awkward turn 3 when they were kind of digging for lands with the main deck Windfall, which they had to sacrifice a treasure for. They didn't end up drawing their fourth land, and I feel like ever since then they were kind of again on the back foot. Similarly, like in the Esper matchup where the Esper deck was behind, was kind of the same for the Izzet player here. They weren't really on parity. They were always a little bit behind and didn't really manage to get into the match at any point. And I think also a big portion of that was the Hello Hunting. That it was an absolute beating in that match.
Could not agree more. And notably, folks, it's not like there's a million Hallowed Hauntings in the 75. There is precisely one, right?
That would be illegal, John, if there was a million. I mean, I would have a personal problem with that, but
well, you make a good point, but I'm not very good at math. So, you tell me, okay.
Yeah. Fair play, John, fair play.
Yeah. So, but my point is, it's not like you can expect to see any one single card in your 70 or in your 60, right? Every game, right? Unless you have a way to tutor for it and stuff like that. So there's a good chance Hallowed Hunting doesn't see the battlefield in games 2 or 3. At least a reasonable chance, right? Or it might see the battlefield too late or something, right? So I agree. It's still a little bit tenuous here. Looks like a third land does come down. Tap land, tap land, tap land. Not quite the start you typically want to play.
Yeah, that is a little bit of an issue, I guess, with these Izzet decks. Like, you do play a lot of nice, like, dual lands, but... Or, like, not dual, so the MDFC is the ones which can be a spell or land, but sometimes it does come to hurt you a bit. And we see again here, winning announcement is just yet another, like, pesky permanent, which is going to be really, really hard to deal with from the Izzet side, because you just don't really have red or blue spells which destroy enchantments. Like, the best you could hope for is either counter it or bounce it, but I don't really think that we're looking at those prospects. So it's mostly just going to be on the board, generating 1/1s, eventually going to be 2/2s. And I do like this play here.
I do too.
Really love the prospect of pumping up the lair. That seems super sweet to me, because like it's just gonna stick through any potential sweepers, and eventually when you're gonna animate the lair, it might be +2 or +3 if you have a bunch of runes on it.
100% agree. And you gotta think about the way you lose the games, right? Everybody wants to think about winning games, but you have to consider how you... Oh no, okay, that's one of the ways you lose the game, folks. That's one of those ways.
Second turn in a row we missed a land drop. That is painful for Upumpa here.
Yeah. And folks, I mean, sure, yeah, casting a Smoldering Egg is good. Like, you want to cast your Smoldering Eggs, but darn it, you do not want to be missing land drops in the final as the control player. I don't care what colors you're playing. That's bad, right? But I was going to say, in reference to the Lair of the Hydra here, at some point, you are afraid as victorious here that all your stuff might get swept away, things like that. Being able to just respond with, oh, my opponent has attacked me 3 times with Goldspan Dragon, I'm going to attack you with an 8/8 lifelink. Suddenly, everything changes, right? So,
I wonder
Upumpa, though, missing another land drop, man, that feels terrible. That is not the way we want this matchup to end. Not even a little bit. Gets the free block.
There's a way, John, to sequence the turn, playing the pathway earlier on, and then having a white untapped land for the white rune, but I don't think it's going to end up mattering here too much. We have three showdowns of the skulls. I mean, talk about spoils of the rages. I mean, we have 6 cards in hand and triple showdown, one of them on the stack here. Even if it gets countered, you can just slam another one.
Yeah.
What do you do if you're Upumpa here?
And well, I mean, and key resources in Magic, right? Cards in hand, very important. Access to mana, very important. We've talked a bit about the treasures and stuff, and maybe not getting things counterspelled and things like that because of that mana advantage they grant. It's that whole dies to Doomblade thing. Well, okay, if your Doomblade kills a 5-drop, your 5-drop died to Doomblade. If your Doomblade kills a token or kills a 1-drop, your Doomblade died to the token, right? Because you're gaining that mana advantage, right? And Upumpa could be holding a stacked hand of Magic cards, every counter spell in the book, really just ready to stop everything Victorious does. If you don't have the mana to do those things, you can't do those things. Dying with a handful of card is the same as dying with a hand that is empty, right? Still losing the game.
And John, we've talked about plenty about the showdown, getting those 4 cards and how huge that is. But don't discount the second and third chapter, like especially if you do get the combo set up with the free runes. Like you're just putting counters on everything as well, so that can spiral out of control very quickly as well.
For sure. And here I have to assume Apumpa's looking at either what, Fading Hope, or perhaps negate. Like how hard up are you when you're thinking I might negate their Rune of Might? Like that's pretty rough.
Yeah, that doesn't feel great.
Then they could maybe have Dragon's Fire, right? Perhaps. And they're just thinking, if we fire off Dragon's Fire now, can we really win the game here? But then it's very important, if it is Dragon's Fire specifically, that they give serious consideration. This is 8 damage, folks. Yeah, okay, you're at 18 life. That's a healthy life total, but that life total is not going to stay the same this turn.
It is gonna go plummeting down, and yeah, I mean, I just feel for Upambo because I've been in the situation where you just like you do the best you can to like make your land drops, but it just doesn't come together, and like there are just like very few decisions you can make at that point. Like you have like one spell you can play, but opponents play like 7 per turn, and you didn't really do anything wrong that game. It just kind of was a bit of variance hitting your way, and it's not a great place to happen in the finals of a set championship qualifier, but that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, unfortunately.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you about chump blocking with your Dragon Egg?
I'm pretty sad about that, but I feel like that's like the least of my problems at this point as well. Like there's like about 4 problems on the board and like 7 more problems in the hand.
Yeah. Oh boy, I didn't get to see what they discarded. What was that card that went away to the Windfall? Did you see? Kind of went quick.
I didn't, but I feel like it's pretty irrelevant at this point. I mean, like I'm trying to imagine what. Yeah, okay. This goes. This goes
helps.
a long way.
This helps.
Yeah.
You're not dead now, right?
that is. Yeah, I do prefer not being dead on the board if I can help it. Yeah.
Yeah, but admittedly, Rune Force Champion. This is a heck of a Magic card, folks. Especially when you give it +1/+1. It is now a 3/4.
And Chapter 2, John.
Chapter 2. Look what you get to do, folks. Go to the library or go to the graveyard. Find a rune. If you go to the library, you get to find a Rune of Speed, which gives haste, folks. On Chapter 2.
Even afford to play this wedding announcement if you want to. Just, like spread our threats around even more. And then even if they deal with like everything, we still have 2 showdowns of the skulls in the hand. Like at this point, like I feel like Upambo just like can't really win a long game, so they just kind of like need to somehow close the game quickly. But how do they do that if the opponent's at 27?
27, folks. And again, gaining life. This is going to be embarrassing for those of you who know the card. If you don't know the card, please don't exclamation point card because you'll make fun of me. But when I was a new Magic player, I thought Healing Stream was one of the best Magic cards I owned when I first got going. It wasn't. It was not the best, folks. But you gain all this life. You feel like you're in the game. But when you're gaining life, essentially for free, at no cost to you, when it's just showing up, like on Lifelink, you're not attacking your opponent to gain the life. You're attacking the opponent to kill them. Okay, that's the strategy here. But make no mistake, it changes the clock a lot when you go to 27, right?
Yeah, I can appreciate like Upambo just fighting it out here because I mean you are in the finals of the PTQ. You do want to get every percentage you can, but it's just like a little bit like, don't you feel like a little bit out of it at this point? Like,
yeah,
if you do everything perfectly, like everything just stacked against you at this point. Like, if you had Epiphany still at this point, like maybe you can copy Epiphany, attack a couple times, maybe you can steal a game, but we don't have that anymore.
Correct. And like here we are, Upambo just goes. Like when Upambo is staring at the opponent, who just essentially drew what, I don't even know, 5 or 6 cards that turn or something, threw around a bunch of 1/1 counters, just completely repopulated the board. And you have 3 cards in hand. Remember, we were talking about having all these cards in hand and everything, and it didn't matter because you have the mana. Well, they've spent all these Magic cards just treading water, essentially. Victorious is still above their starting life total. It's not like you've been tempoing them. You're just treading water. You're spending, going all out, spending every resource, just trying to keep your head above water here. Do you even attack? Can you even attack?
All right, John. I'm gonna give you a proposition.
Okay.
A Hullbreaker Horror. What do you say about that?
Okay.
What if we
Hullbreaker,
have
great
that?
question. You know, here we go. Hullbreaker Horror. Yes. That's one of the cards. You have 2 more cards.
If we have to start like bouncing everything like crazy, if we can
Okay.
keep
Yeah.
drawing a
So
lot of cards.
Hullbreaker Horror, Fading Hope, right? As 2 of the
Yeah.
cards. Okay. Okay. Lear. Lear.
All right.
Your graveyard
I'm
isn't
interested.
stocked, but it does have the
Burning Hands.
Yep. In it already. And
A free windfall. You love to see it.
you also have, okay, you've got to combat the Rune of Might as well. So you know about that. Obviously, we've got to work with information that Upumpa has, but they know about Rune of Speed. They know about Showdown of the Scalds. Man,
can they still take this? I mean,
it's so difficult. I'm looking at the list, folks.
we need to have this. We need to have this leader survive, which is looking like it has a decent chance of happening here.
But the Goldspan Dragon is already attacked, right?
Yeah, but we can probably survive a turn here, I think, right? If we can kill the visitor.
Okay, I guess, okay. If we have Fading Hope or Burning Hands, oh my gosh, all right. If 1 expected windfall isn't enough, how about 2? If 2 isn't enough, I have a proposition.
How about all of them?
3. Huh?
Imagine they had a Hullbreaker down already. They would be just like bouncing everything.
Okay, if they had the Hullbreaker Horror in play and cast 3 windfalls,
yeah,
I might put them ahead.
Okay.
You know?
That's how bad it is, huh?
It is.
For the 4th showdown. Why not? At this point, I'm a little bit afraid of Victorious milling themselves out, like decking. I mean, how many cards do they have left at this point?
Okay, so I'm putting you in Upumpa seat. What win condition do you play to? Actually reducing Victorious's life total to 0 or making them deck out? Okay, like what do you?
Maybe Upumpa has sided into Dimir Rogues out of nowhere and starts plays the crab and mills them for 3. I mean, that's a way to approach this.
Yeah. All right, Showdown of the Scalds, throwing counters around. Okay. So
can we survive this turn? I think that's probably our main concern if you're Upumpa here.
Yes, and admittedly, Upumpa did have the first step, and that was not having the champion swing in. The champion being the 3rd creature swinging in is messing everything up, right? Okay. Prismari Command, kill the token. It's going to be challenging to make it to actual 14 this turn, right? I'm not saying they can't.
Why haven't we killed the visitor already?
Ooh, is this right? Don't you want to give trample to generous visitor?
I mean, the visitor's probably dying to the Burning Hands, right? Why did they not kill the visitor?
I don't understand that.
I would have killed the visitor maybe even on my own turn if I was. I wonder what they're trying to achieve here. They're gonna have to kill the visitor, right? If they put 1 more counter on that, they can be forced to.
Yeah, correct. Sort of. So, okay, well, yeah, this is okay. Sculpting the escape here is getting more and more challenging. And
now you kind of and you can put a counter there, so now they have to kind of kill both of them, or
right.
Both of them are very, very dangerous. Not lethal probably, but dangerous for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Spikefield Hazard,
I
not
killed
the
my
card you were
own
hoping for.
dragon. Gain a mana, essentially.
But you do gain a mana.
We
Okay.
can do it again and gain another mana.
Galvanic Iteration.
Huh?
Not the card. Oh boy, is this Fading Hope?
Oh,
Fading Hope!
Okay. I dig it. Okay, so that's why they were not killing it.
That
with
makes
the,
so
now
much
I see.
sense.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and for those of you who are curious, the Burning Hands, maybe not a card you're familiar with. Maybe if you play Best of One or something, it's a 2-mana shock to a creature or planeswalker. If the permanent is green, it deals 6 instead. So that's why we were talking about maybe choosing different targets, right? But that is why Upumpa was doing what they were doing. And darn it, okay. Step 1 was survive. Untapping with Leer and 7 mana?
Whew. And I have to say, John, I don't think Victorious was expecting it either. Like,
agreed.
Because they had 1 treasure or something. They managed to like get 2 extra mana, like the ritual with the spike field.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Really cool play. And
yeah.
100%
100%
Ganjo is, oh my god, is it gonna get them? They do have a
They have
bounce
Fading
flow,
Hope.
right?
They can bring Leer back. Admittedly, it's not the same.
This
right?
is so hard for Upumba. Like, they have like 1 Ganjo in the list. Like, come on, you know.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, Goldspan Dragon crashes in. Victorious at 15. I mean, 15 is not 27. Okay? The
No.
tempo plan is not outside the realm of possibilities now. Admittedly, Generous Visitor and Kami Transcendent both in hand, and both of those are scary. But here's Leer, right?
Yeah, we can have a turn. We can have a chapter 3 here go off as well.
Yep,
which is important to note.
Jukai Naturalist counter.
I can't help but wonder, John, like, why don't we have the full 4 red auras? Like, that just seems like the haste just keeps coming up every single game. Like, you just want to give everything haste and attack, because that's the best way to rebuild post these sweepers and whatnot.
I wonder if it's matchup, or if it's the expected meta that Victorious was playing for. Like, maybe. If they were thinking, I know, it's early in the format. Maybe they weren't thinking they were going to see a bunch of slow grindy decks. Maybe they were thinking, oh, it's going to be mono red all day. If you're thinking mono red all day, you would prioritize Rune of Sustenance, right? Because you're not going to be the beatdown.
Yeah.
So that could be why, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's just the weakest the weakest rune. I don't know. I haven't played the deck myself, so I can't really judge that. It just to me felt like that the haste just keeps coming up. But I will trust Victorious that they have played more matches than me, and we see again, that's the 4th Fading Hope in 2 turns here. 5th Fading Hope, because we had the bounce of the Leer too.
And the Scry, folks, I can't stress that enough. The Scry matters.
Yeah,
Upumpa is still up against it.
Upumpa is hell-bent right now. They have no cards in hand, as far as I can see. This is all graveyard that we can see highlighted up in their like hand area.
Correct. But it is very notable that, holy crud. Okay. Handicap it. Give me a percent. What's Upumpa's chance of winning right now? Because it got a lot better these last 2 turns. It went from 5% or less to...
Yeah.
Okay.
Burning Hands doing a great job, right? Yeah.
Are those Burning Hands?
They're Burning Hands. We have this Valorous Stance, though, John, which is really notable on Victorious' side.
Yeah. And admittedly, Upumpa sees that. Do you agree with that? Do you just go for it?
Yeah, because, I mean, they could have done it instead, but then Upumpa still had a free open blue mana, so now you kind of at least tax a little bit their mana from this turn. Upumpa has to probably bounce it here.
But not before Burning Hands, right?
Sure.
Because I kind of agree with what Upumpa's doing here. I at least I think I do. And again, the significantly less distinguished player says, oh, that's what I would do, which means less than what the Ninja says. But I feel like I would
if you're
spend the mana this turn, get rid of those problematic creatures, right? Crash in for 4. Folks, 27 is not, like 11 is not 27 here. We were just talking about how challenging that is, but darn it, Pumpa's the one with 7 power on board.
I wonder at which point like we start thinking about maybe getting this this Letter of the Hydra in the combat. It has lifelink, I think.
It has lifelink, and it's big. That's a big boy.
Like we could have easily attacked for, I don't know, 9 here or something if we
Yeah,
wanted
going
to.
back to
9
20.
lifelink.
And you know they have no cards in hand. They have no creature lands, and the cards in the bin would not have mattered against gigantic Lair of the Hydra.
Yeah, so we know about the burn down the house,
Yep.
which honestly wouldn't have been a great play for Upumba either way, because like clearing the board of your 2 best creatures is not a way to win.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
they can easily outgrow the 5 damage if they want to here.
Okay,
Again, I'm not sure. Are they gonna be able to force them to chump? I'm not sure they're gonna get there quite.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think they have to chump here, but suddenly, Pumpa's needs to draw.
Lifelink is gonna be big.
Right. That's big and lifelinking. 11 might not be 27, but 22 is close enough to be to 27 for me to not feel very comfortable about it. Right?
Yeah.
And
you know what, John? Like, sure, if let's say that they draw 1 red mana, kill the whole battlefield, we still have a showdown in hand and a lifelinking Letter of the Hydra.
Yeah, yeah, so they burn down the house. Let's say that's good enough. This is a trample, folks. It's trample. You can't.
Yeah, we need like another bounce spell, I guess. We already used a bunch of them, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Upupa tried so hard, and it was looking like they might get there when they play the Lear, but it just the rune deck just doesn't give up easily.
Yeah, I mean, they made it a game. I hate to be like that.
They did,
because the battle was real. But unless this is Fading Hope that isn't in the list,
maybe.
No, they do have all 4, don't they? No, they only have 3 Fading Hopes. Like,
I think even with the Fading Hope, they're still probably gonna be dead, John.
It
is a Fading Hope. Oh, they bounce the small one? Don't understand that too much.
Okay.
Oh, they can bounce both. Okay, I'm
yeah,
stupid.
right, with Lear.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
this is crazy. Okay, maybe we survive this turn still? I think we do, because there's no trample anymore, is there?
Oh my gosh, land, Jukai Naturalist.
Man, okay, Pumpa is just really living this one out. I mean, they can jump now. They can jump now.
And admittedly, again, 18 is that's a lot of turns still. You are not done fighting. This is
we need a good top deck here, but the good thing, at least the one thing going for Upumba, is they're gonna have a lot of mana. So
there will be a lot of mana.
Imagine they top deck like Expressive Iteration, and we're off to the races, right?
That's true. That is a 1-card ticket back, theoretically, into the game.
The problem may be that we are like, we have already used so many like bounce spells and burn spells, whatever. Like, I'm not even sure how much like removal we have left in the deck anymore.
It's true. It's true. And yeah, I actually can't access their exile zone, so I don't even know.
Ooh, haunting too, just in case.
That's brutal, man. Okay, so 1/1 jumps in front.
17
up to 25,
24,
down to 24. But darn it, the Lair of the Hydra from way back, folks, from way back. We were talking about that Lair of the Hydra.
It's still there.
If this 1 card could be, if this is Burn Down the House and they can cast it twice or something, which they couldn't because Lear would die. But I'm just saying, if they could and get all the stuff off, you still just die to the Lair of the Hydra.
That's kind of been the predicament of the controllers of the last like year or something. Like you always like in the past, like you like sweep the board, you stabilize, but now you like sweep the board and then you still die to a haven or whatever they have going, or a lair. Den of the Bugbear. That's one of the most annoying ones. Like, it's so cheap to activate and gives you 2 bodies as well. One of them sticks forever. So
Yep.
like, it's just like these lands are really tough for control. And unfortunately for Upumpa, but fortunately for Victorious, we have a winner
We
of
do.
the Set Championship qualifier here, and that is Victorious. Congratulations.
It is JohnLikesGames. I picked Victorious to win. I'd like to thank my mom. And, you know, I'd like to say TheDaNinja, I called it.
You did.
What? And all that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Victorious did it! Congratulations, Victorious. That said, folks, I would like to say a quick thank you to our sponsor, comicbookstore.tcgplayerpro.com.
Just one last time, big congratulations to our winner today, Victorious, who goes by Victorious. The name is Max Door. So big congratulations to our winner today, and I'll be seeing him in the next Set Championship. So big congrats to them.
What an exciting finish to an amazing event. I want to give extra thank you to JohnLikesGames and to TheDaNinja for their phenomenal commentary tonight on this event here. And I want to give an extra shout out to our winner here, Victorious, who took down the whole event today and also got themselves a seat at the Set Championship for Streets of New Capenna. And as always, if you made it this far, don't forget like, comment, and subscribe down below. And there's also in the description links to any of the decks that you may have seen here in the video today. As always, everybody, stay cheesy, and I hope to catch you in any future events and on stream at twitch.tv/HollywoodPete.